I don't remember my father's face. He passed away from illness when I was very young. After that, my mom raised me on her own. She struggled to take care of my brother, who is 10 years younger than me. We were poor, barely managing to live. So, I gave up on going to high school and started working at a local factory after middle school. I had secretly worked part-time during middle school, so I wasn't opposed to working. But honestly, it was tough seeing my peers go to high school in their uniforms. I worked hard to earn money for living expenses and my brother Paul's education. I was diligent, never late or absent from work. My boss often praised me for my attitude. It's really encouraging to see a young person like you never being late and working so hard. You might feel unwell sometimes, right? But still, you don't come in late or miss a day. It's not easy to work steadily every day like that. No, well, I don't have a father, and with my mom and brother at home, I feel I need to work hard. That's admirable. Well done. As years passed, I was trusted with more important tasks. I enjoyed it, but gradually I wanted to do bigger jobs and studied while working. I didn't want to lose to those with college degrees. And before I knew it, I reached the age of adulthood. One day, I received a message about a class reunion from the middle school class rep. Middle school, that brings back memories. I generally liked my middle school classmates. But there was one person I just couldn't get along with. His name was Bob, and his family ran a business, making them pretty wealthy locally. In middle school, Bob constantly made fun of me for being poor and raised by a single mother. He'd ruin the gym bag my mom made or tear up the notebooks she'd bought for me. Although my classmates didn't like Bob either, no one really stood up to him because his family had a lot of influence. I was no different, always being bullied and never tried to fight back. When I felt out of place in the classroom, I'd head to the rarely visited library. As there is common talk about young people drifting away from printed books, our school library was always empty. Maybe it's because you can easily download ebooks now, but I've always loved the unique smell of paper and getting lost in a story. I mostly read mystery novels, which helped me forget the hardships of my life. Opening the library door, I'd be greeted by a quiet room filled with natural light from the windows. I loved that space. One day, while engrossed in a mystery novel after school, someone spoke to me from behind. Turning around, I saw a slightly plump girl with black hair. "Hello." "Whoa, you scared me." "Oh, it's just you, Lisa." She was a classmate, from a wealthy family, and academically gifted. She also didn't have many friends, but still not as much as me. Her family was strict and didn't allow her to have a cell phone, which isolated her from the other girls. Bob, the bully, often made fun of her for various reasons. But Lisa, always calm, would just brush it off nonchalantly. "You're in the library committee, right, Lisa?" "Yay, that's right. Sorry for startling you, I didn't mean to intrude." She showed her tongue playfully. "Don't worry, you're not bothering me. You're organizing books, right? Hey, you can't reach the top shelf, can you? Want me to put the books back for you?" No, it's okay. Really." Seeing her struggle to reach while standing on tiptoes, I went behind her, took the book from her hand, and placed it on the top shelf. "See, it's easy when I do it." "Thank you." Lisa blushed. Lisa sometimes turned red like this, and it became a reason for Bob and the others to tease her. Somehow, I felt an affinity with her, as she was also harassed by Bob. She continued trying to reach the top shelf, stretching herself. I took the book from her again and slid it into the top shelf. Then, Lisa bowed to me and said, "Thank you." "No problem, you're welcome." It's rare to be thanked by a classmate, so it made me kind of happy. Lisa, looking a bit shy, suddenly offered me a book. "Here, if you like, give this a read. It's my recommendation. Just came in, so it's still new and clean." Lisa smiled warmly. It was the mystery book I had been curious about. Huh? Lisa, you like mysteries too? Yeah, surprised. Let me know what you think when you're done. Then, I got a stamp on my library card at the counter. During my boring middle school days, the only noteworthy episode was my interaction with Lisa. As we talked more in the library, I realized she also felt left out in the classroom. Two outcasts in the class, perhaps just licking each other's wounds. But still, every time I met her in the library during breaks or after school, my heart felt healed. I wonder how everyone is doing. It's been a while. Wanting to see my classmates again, I decided to attend the reunion. I was also faintly hoping Lisa would be there. On the day of the reunion, when I arrived at the venue, everyone was already there. Seeing me, they said, "Were you at work? Thanks for coming." That's when it happened. I was spotted by the person I never wanted to see. Bob saw me and remarked, "You still look poor. How old is that hoodie?" Pointing at my slightly pilled hoodie. Bob, on the other hand, was wearing a brand-made suit and a fancy watch. The reunion I had been looking forward to turned sour with his arrival. I chose a seat far from Bob to avoid him. Then, a woman next to me offered beer. "Anyone?" I turned, saying, Thanks," and then, "Oh," in surprise. There was Lisa. Lisa hadn't changed much since I last saw her years ago. After middle school, she went to a private school, while I started working in a factory, so we hadn't met since. She greeted me with a polite smile. "Long time no see." I awkwardly replied, "Long time no see." We then enjoyed chatting with classmates while sipping drinks. Then Bob came over, being drunk. "What are you up to now?" he asked, so I told him I was still working in a factory. Bob started laughing crudely. "As expected, you and I live in different worlds," he scoffed. Then he began bragging about himself. He was attending a prestigious private university and planning to take over his father's company. His company was doing well, even starting new branches. Many of our classmates had gone to well-known universities. Although some worked right after high school, I was the only one who didn't graduate. Thinking this, Bob drunkenly jeered, "Hey, you're the only dropout here, right?" I felt annoyed but knew it was pointless to respond. I didn't retort. Bored with my dull reaction, Bob left after his show-off. After he left, Lisa, who had been silent, muttered, "He really hasn't changed. Such an unpleasant guy." "Yeah, people don't change that easily," I responded, exasperated. Then Lisa laughed, covering her mouth and saying, "That's right." Seeing Lisa laugh innocently, I felt my heart skip a beat. From then on, I spent most of the time talking with her. I hadn't thought much of her in middle school, but now, talking to her felt strangely comforting. After the reunion, Lisa and I kept in touch. She attended one of America's top universities and dreamed of starting her own business. Interestingly, Lisa's father also ran a company, which used to be smaller than Bob's but have grown significantly thanks to his efforts. Since then, we started not only keeping in touch but also meeting frequently. Gradually, we were naturally drawn to each other, and I confessed my feelings, which led to us dating. Our dates were often in parks, and we didn't spend much money. I thought she was being considerate of my financial situation, but it turned out Lisa herself wasn't interested in lavish meals or luxury goods. I think that modesty is one of her best qualities. Years passed, and Lisa graduated from college. We were still going strong as a couple. After graduating, Lisa joined her father's company. She worked hard every day, despite being busy. Then, one day, she made a surprising proposal. "My dad really wants to bring you into the company. What do you think?" Lisa's father, President Nelson, knew I was self-studying business management and wanted to work in a bigger company, so he offered me a position. Also, He was impressed by my record of no tardiness or absences since middle school. Apparently, Lisa's company had trouble retaining new employees, who often started with enthusiasm but later missed work for trivial reasons. I immediately accepted Lisa's invitation. I felt sorry for leaving my old job, but my former boss encouraged me, saying, "Go for it if that's what you want. We're all rooting for you." Soon, I joined President Nelson's company as a new employee, working alongside Lisa. Their office work was different from the factory, and initially, I made many mistakes. But my colleagues, all kind people, patiently taught me. About a year later, as I was getting used to the job, an unexpected person visited the company. "I'm here from AB Trading. Thank you for your having us." "Wait, Bob." It was a classmate from middle school. "Why are you here?" Bob exclaimed, forgetting the presence of the president. He seemed to know the company was run by Lisa's father, but didn't expect me to work there. Bob looked worn, and his suit was slightly shabby. It seems that Bob has visited this company to negotiate a deal. Bob had been entrusted with the negotiations by his father, the president of his own company. President Nelson coldly told him, "Who are you to address my employee that way?" The staff gave Bob disapproving looks. As if Bob thought it was a bad idea, he immediately said, "I apologize for what I've said. We were old friends," and bowed his head, but President Nelson frowned. President Nelson knew about Bob's past disdain towards me, probably told by Lisa. Despite this, he had invited Bob for his persistence in business outreach, willing to do business if he sensed sincerity. I guess he wanted to separate his work and personal feelings. But Bob's blunder led to him being quickly dismissed. "Excuse me," Bob said as he left. After he left, President Nelson muttered, completely out of place, making Lisa and me burst into laughter. Later, I heard a rumor that Bob didn't become president, replaced by a more competent employee, leading to his fallout with his father and quitting his job. Frustrated by the situation, Bob broke off relations with his father and started working at a different company. However, he couldn't stand working under someone else and quit soon after. I don't know the details about his life after that, but it didn't seem like he was living well. Hearing this story made me feel relieved. As for Lisa and me, we continued our relationship smoothly. When we had been together for exactly 5 years, I finally proposed to her. Though I couldn't afford an expensive ring since I was still supporting my family and my brother's education, Lisa teared up and said thank you, holding my hand and saying, "Let's be happy together." Many people blessed our marriage, including my mother, brother, and everyone from the factory I used to work at. I was filled with gratitude. President Nelson told me, "I want to ask you to continue to take care of Lisa," which made me feel tense. Thus, we submitted our marriage registration and became husband and wife. We're now preparing to start a business together. We plan to create a space like a library filled with our favorite mystery novels. I expect we'll face many challenges ahead, but I'm sure we can overcome them together with Lisa. I vowed in my heart to be happy with my beloved Lisa. My name is Michael. When I was in high school, my dad got sick and started to be in and out of the hospital. Since it was tough with just my mom working, I dropped out of high school to get a job. I'm sorry, Michael. It's my fault that I'm taking away your youth. My dad, who was always energetic, looked uncharacteristically down. So, I cheered him up, saying, "Don't worry about it. Just focus on getting better." Sure, it was sad to say goodbye to my close friends like this, but my younger brother, Daniel, was still in middle school, and as the older brother, I had to step up. Fortunately, because of my sacrifice, Daniel was able to go to high school, and Dad got the treatment he needed. The job I chose after dropping out of high school was working at a small French restaurant. I've always loved cooking shows, thinking that flipping a skillet over a fiery stove or showing off knife skills was cooler than watching a baseball player hit a home run. I thought, if I'm going to work, it might as well be somewhere strict but reputable, so I learned the ropes of cooking while being toughened up by the strict manager. Well, Michael, your dishes are really delicious. Gradually, I took over as the head cook at home from my mom. Initially, I started cooking at home out of necessity, but after starting the job, I began to see it as good practice, improving my skills bit by bit. I made a whole pasta dish, from pasta to sauce, and fed it to Daniel, who exclaimed, "Wow, this is really good. Today's meal feels so fancy." Pleased, I discovered the joy of making people happy with my cooking. Becoming interested in the world of cooking, I aimed to become a chef. Once our family situation stabilized and we had some financial breathing room, I attended an online culinary school, learning all about cooking and customer service. After graduating, I started working full-time at the restaurant where I had been a part-timer. Most of our customers are regulars. They'll leave if there's even a slight change in taste, but I have high hopes for you, Michael," said the manager, Eugene, patting my back. Thinking about my life as a chef just beginning, I was very excited. I'm going to make delicious food and please the customers. Thinking this, I took my work very seriously, day by day. Then one day, I received an invitation to a middle school reunion. I had never been able to attend before, as I was too busy. Since I dropped out of high school, middle school is my only alma mater. I want to see everyone again. Thinking this, I marked the invitation as attending. Just then, Eugene happened to pass by. "Hey, what's up? Going to a reunion?" "Yes, it's at a hotel in San Francisco." When I mentioned the hotel's name, Eugene got excited and said, "Oh, they're holding it there. I know someone who's the head chef at that hotel. Lucky you, the food's going to be great, I can assure you." The chef I admire praising someone like that must mean they're really amazing. Plus, it'll be a good learning experience for me in terms of cuisine. I thought to myself, this just added another thing to look forward to. On the day of the reunion, I was enjoying catching up with friends I hadn't seen in a long time. "Hey, Michael, long time no see." Then, my best friend from school, Jake, came over waving his hand. "Jake, how've you been?" Our conversation naturally drifted towards updating each other on our lives. "So, what are you doing these days, Michael?" "Me, I'm a chef." "Really? So, can you make those delicate, fluffy omelets that cut smoothly with a knife?" "Yeah, I could do that with my eyes closed." "Awesome." I thought to myself, what an overreaction, but I was honestly pleased to be complimented. As the evening progressed, my classmates' glasses kept refilling, and the atmosphere got livelier. As for me, I was carefully observing and savoring each dish of the hotel's course meal. Delicious. Really delicious. Everyone might be too tipsy or caught up in the moment to notice, but this was truly outstanding cooking. "Michael, you're really savoring your food there," said Jake, drinking red wine like it was juice. While thinking he was wasting good wine, I replied, "Well, as a chef, I can't help but be curious about other restaurants' flavors." That's when it happened. "Hey, look at you, talking all cool, Michael." A loud guy, overly familiar, came up and slung his arm around me. "Ugh," I grimaced without meaning to. His name was Steve. I knew him because we hung out a few times, but I always found Steve a bit hard to deal with. As you can probably tell from how he acts, he's not great at reading the room. And he was pretty drunk at the moment. I sighed internally, thinking, great, here comes trouble. But who would have thought you'd become a chef, Michael? Life's full of surprises, huh? But hey, good for you for doing well. Steve spoke in a patronizing way. No surprise there. Apparently, Steve went to a well-known university, even one I've heard of, and landed a job at a major company. He's probably earning way more than most of us." So, Steve kept asking with a smug smile, "So, how much does a chef make in a year?" He's really the epitome of rudeness. I just brushed it off, wishing I could get away from him as soon as possible. But Steve kept making more belittling comments. "Michael, I heard you dropped out of high school. Are there even jobs for someone who only finished middle school? Jobs that pay well are probably out of reach for you. Do you realize you are stuck in a poverty cycle?" His words really got under my skin. I didn't drop out of high school or become poor by choice. No, being labeled as poor itself was irritating. My mom worked hard so my dad could live, and my brother could go to college. It felt like Steve was trampling over my mom's efforts, and I was filled with indignation. "Hey, Steve, you're way too drunk," Jake said, trying to calm Steve down, but his drunken boasting and insulting remarks about being a high school dropout didn't stop. I was so fed up that I downed the rest of my good wine in one gulp and said, "I'm leaving," shaking off Steve's hand from my shoulder. "What's your problem? Not in the mood. You realize this is a famous Michelin-starred hotel, right? The chefs here are way beyond your league. If you don't savor this chance now, you'll regret it." He laughed as I stood up to leave. If this hadn't been the hotel where Eugene's acquaintance was the head chef, I might have accidentally punched Steve. Suppressing my anger, I was about to leave when Michael, a classmate named Travis, who was organizing the event, called me. "What's up? The manager of this hotel was asking for you." "Why?" "I don't know, but he seemed to have something important to discuss." There he is. "Excuse me, this is Michael." Travis waved to a tall, slender man. His demeanor suggested he was no ordinary person. "You must be Michael. Nice to meet you. I'm Austin, the manager here." Hi." I had no idea why I was being called over in such a setting. The tension from everyone around me felt painfully intense. "I came to greet you because I heard you're the prodigy working at Eugene's place." The manager bowed politely to me. I was surprised he came to greet me, but the crowd was even more abuzz. "Wow, is Michael really that amazing?" I heard such comments from the women around. Then, the manager said something even more surprising. "Actually, I have a favor to ask. Our head chef, Tyler, really wants to meet you. Would you have a moment now, despite your busy schedule?" Steve was the most shocked of all. A respectful manager and a Michelin-starred chef want to meet Michael. Steve muttered, bewildered. "Well, if I can be of any help." I was honored to meet the chef Eugene praised so highly, but at the same time, I couldn't stop feeling nervous. Then, Austin immediately called Tyler from the kitchen. "You must be Michael, right? I'm Tyler, the head chef of this hotel. Pleased to meet you." When Tyler offered a handshake, I reached out my hand, and he gripped it firmly. Then, I was suddenly struck by the thickness of Tyler's hands. There were countless calluses, likely developed from stirring heavy pots thousands of times. Just by touching his palm, I could tell how skilled a chef he was. "Actually, I'm a bit sneaky. Eugene has been praising you so much that I couldn't help but want you to work for us. It's what you'd call headhunting. Michael, would you like to work with me?" "Me? Work at this Michelin-starred hotel?" I was stunned by the unexpected offer. "How about it? I think this place would be a good environment for you. It will add prestige to your career, and the salary will be higher. What do you think?" My classmates buzzed with excitement at his words. Steve, who had been mocking me, was so surprised that he just gaped. "Man, Michael, you definitely should take it." Jake nearby was encouraging me. I turned back to Tyler. My mind was already made up when he made their offer. "I really appreciate the offer, but I'm sorry, I have to decline." I bowed politely and looked up to see Tyler smiling kindly. "Why is that?" he asked. Looking directly at Tyler, I responded, "I entered this field because I love Eugene's cooking. There's still so much to learn from him, and I'm satisfied with my current job. Moreover, I'm surrounded by Eugene, who I respect, and my colleagues. That's an irreplaceable treasure to me. I explained my reason for declining their offer. Tyler laughed heartily. Too bad, I've been rejected. You truly are Eugene's disciple. I wanted someone like you who takes pride in their work, but such people are hard to come by. Well, if you ever change your mind, feel free to contact me. With that, Tyler returned to the kitchen. When I turned around, my classmates were praising me, saying things like, "That's so cool, you're the best." I felt embarrassed. They were all too drunk. Then Jake, who was beside me, said, "I'll visit your restaurant next time." And I replied with a smile, "Yeah, come anytime." The next day, Eugene heard about what happened from Tyler and asked me, "Are you sure about your decision, Michael?" "I'm satisfied with my current job and life, so I have no regrets. Besides, there's still so much I want to learn from Eugene," I said with a smile. "Is that so? I understand," Eugene said, smiling somewhat happily. As an aside, a few days later, I received a call from Steve, who had bragged at the reunion. "I'm sorry about that time." He apologized for his rude behavior, even though he was drunk. "You're actually an amazing person, aren't you?" "I'm not amazing. I just love cooking. You should come to the restaurant where I work sometime." "I'll definitely visit. I always want to provide the best service to those who come to eat my cooking. That's my pride."